Right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here at this early hour. As we have been introduced and as it has been said, we're going to talk about professional opportunities in cybersecurity. Currently, as they said during the inauguration, our general manager, as well as the Secretary of State, cybersecurity is an industry which is growing. There's loads of professional opportunities. And today, we're going to have very important speakers to give us a very holistic vision of the professional opportunities and the studies that we can undergo in order to end up working in cybersecurity. We're going to have the presentation here at the background. There's a little issue with the presentation, but whilst we get that sorted, I'm going to introduce the rest of the guests. We have Alejandro Blasco from the Official Engineering Association in the Valencian Community. Thank you for being here. Also Ramón Onrubia, which is part of the Association of Computing Professors in the Valencian Community, also Santiago Escobar from the Polytechnic University, and finally Emilio Soria from the University of Valencia. What they're going to do is introduce briefly how they see from the point of view of every different institution what the professional opportunities are, cybersecurity, what studies will lead you to a career in cybersecurity. And when we finish, we will have an open question and answer session for those of you who don't know what they should do now or what they should do once they finish. The students can ask any questions they have. And we have a few questions if you don't have any that have been asked before, and we can use them later. Right. Looks like the presentation is not working right now, so we're going to start talking about cybersecurity, which is an environment which is currently growing. It's an industry that is growing, and there's a lack of experts and professionals. Whilst we have everyone's presentation, I'm going to ask the first question. What is the future of cybersecurity? What does it look like? Why is it so important right now? Why is cybersecurity so key? Alejandro? Well, good morning, everyone. I think for all of you who are here, it's going to be very obvious why cybersecurity is important. Companies are more and more concerned every day towards the risks that they are facing every day because of new technologies. Companies are being targeted every day, and they need mechanisms, tools, systems, and professionals who help them to face these risks. They also need to find a balance between the budget that goes towards cybersecurity and to compensate it with the risks that they might face. They have to assess which risks may affect their branding, their brand image, and their business. And that is why cybersecurity right now is one of, and we're going to talk about this a lot this morning, but it's one of the main niche for professionals. From the point of view of academia, maybe Ramón can tell us something about education. Well, as Alejandro was saying, cybersecurity is growing continuously, and from the point of view of vocational training, the companies that we are surrounded with and with whom we have internship agreements are demanding more technicians, especially when it comes from operations, security operations or network operations. These are positions that usually engineers do not do because they usually manage at a higher level, different operations. So there are a lot of opportunities with the Internet of Things, big data, especially in industry in general. Companies are facing new risks every day because we have new possibilities, new sales channels, ways of doing business online. So we face new risks every day, as Alejandro was saying. So there's a very high demand, which is also increasing in cybersecurity. And for students to train in this area is very important because they have many opportunities to find a job. Now, from the point of view of universities, we have the two main universities in Valencia. How do you see the situation? Well, from the point of view of the Polytechnic University, I agree completely with what has been said, because we also have not only to train, but also to research, and then obviously the opportunities, because right now there are many people who are graduated in different universities but are not specialized in cybersecurity, but do end up from different degrees working in cybersecurity. So I do agree that in many industries what they're asking right now, and this is not only for companies, it's for also higher positions when it comes to innovation, to research, to development, to thinking about what will happen with big data in a few years, or with industry, with the different attacks that they are facing and being the target of. So this is a critical point in time, and there are many opportunities. Well, I think some years ago we were on the mobility decade with mobile phones and communication devices between people. And this decade is the decade of security. We've got numerous data going between companies. We have many devices that can be targeted by hackers. And so we have to keep the integrity of that data and of that information. So we're going towards a century where everything is going to be around data, about information, and we definitely have to protect the integrity of that data and that information. So if I had to study again, I would definitely do a master's in cybersecurity. Now, along these lines, especially when it comes to to education, we know that this is a very young industry, that there are many people who work already in cybersecurity, but who are self-taught. So I would like, especially from the point of view of universities and education, and also from the professional point of view, what added value does someone bring who has trained in cybersecurity versus someone who has trained themselves? Well, I think the main difference is that in this kind of issues, practice and experience does make a big difference, because at home you can watch videos, you can see things, but I think the way you acquire knowledge is when someone tells you about the problems that they've had and the issues that they've had to face. There are many online courses nowadays, but they will never give you the experience that someone has if they have been working for years in this area. And what I would add is that cybersecurity is very multi-faceted, and I think if you have that kind of training, you can definitely do that from home. You can see many things, but it is precisely from universities where we're fostering a multifaceted education. And although there aren't that many specific training programs, although there are masters and everything, I think we do provide a very rich education that can then be applied to industry. And the people who train with us are then in high demand for companies, because companies do look for that kind of profile. And how about vocational training? Well, we think that being self-taught is definitely key, and actually companies do tell us that they prefer someone who has the will and the attitude towards learning and having also a professional certificate. But at the end of the day, companies, what they want to know is what you can do. So I think it's definitely key that if someone who is passionate about what they do, if they like cybersecurity, if they work in many different fields, they work at home, they try different things, they have little sock at home, they fiddle a little bit around with their router. So what the actual definition of geek that we've always had, I don't like the word geek, but it's the picture that we always get. So for companies, the fact that you have your own blog, that you can share your knowledge, that you come to conferences and you do speeches. So companies do value the fact that you have formal training, but I think they're increasingly looking for people who can do a bit more than that. And how about from the professional point of view? Well, I understand what the people from universities have said. I think formal training, the way we know it nowadays, both from public and private institutions, is very important in order to have a certain skills that will allow you to develop your profession later on. It is also true that nowadays we have multiple channels where we can train ourselves, be it with massive open courses. You've got YouTube. I don't think there's a great source of knowledge, but I'm sure that there will be people who know how to pass on that knowledge, and you can actually internalize some of their knowledge. But I think there are many different ways of complementing your formal training. I think it's actually key, and I think we will all agree that nowadays no one who has just obtained their degree can stop learning, because this is a changing market, especially cybersecurity. Everything is changing, the attacks are changing, the fields are changing. You have to be doing continuous professional development, CPD, all the time. Companies do look for someone who is curious, who want to keep training, who wants to keep learning, and that is very important. Specialization is key, especially for certain positions, especially technical positions. But you have to have a very broad vision of business, of what risks businesses face, and all in all, what can help you have an advantage in the professional market, especially for people who are looking for jobs. Which in this case we were saying, well, it's not easy, but it's easier than in other industries. So just to summarize what we've been saying, we could say that whilst it is true that training, both university and vocational training, gives us some fundamentals, some basis and some knowledge, it is in high demand also a profile, someone who goes a bit further, who wants to try new things. So we are looking for a bit of everything, boys and girls. So we're looking for people who do formal training, but also people who go a bit further and want to make a difference compared to the other people who are applying for a job. Well, now that we have the presentation, I'm going to let Alejandro tell us a little bit how they see it from his institution. Well, good morning, everyone. Well, I've already said good morning because we've been talking a bit earlier. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank INCIBE for organizing this event, also because they've decided to do it in Valencia, although it looks like we are becoming a bit trendy in the last few months. And actually, I've been here for the third time today in 2 weeks. Also, thank you to all those who are sharing my the round table with me today. And without further ado, because we've changed a little bit the pace of the conference today, I wanted to show you a little bit via news headings or media headings, both from digital and paper media in general and special media. And this gives us a very clear vision of what the situation looks like nowadays when it comes to employment in the cybersecurity industry. As you can see very clearly, we are expecting this industry to grow dramatically, that employment will hence increase, that it is very difficult to find talent nowadays. That is a highly profitable niche, as I was saying. And we've got a few more data concerning the industry. As we can see here as well, there's a big gender gap because there are a few women who work in cybersecurity. Actually, well, in general, there's very few women who work in computing and IT in general. So cybercrime is profitable and is still profitable. So we're going to be suffering attacks in general in companies, and most companies are understanding that the areas, that cybersecurity areas are too small, that they need more professionals, but at the same time they cannot fill and fulfill all their needs.
And they also intend to increase their spending on this over the coming years. This perception that we have based on some articles and headlines in newspapers is also backed up by other data and reports from international sources such as ISACA, and they have their different areas of knowledge regarding how cybersecurity is evolving, and this is also relevant. All the vacancies are not being covered, and the candidates themselves don't believe that they have sufficient expertise in order to be able to opt for those positions. Knowledge of the profession has been identified as a gap, or a gap of knowledge amongst the candidates, and we were mentioning that we need to have a good wide knowledge, a broad knowledge of the business in order to understand it. A quarter of the candidates, according to businesses, are not prepared to face the challenges and the risks in their business. And also another point which I think is very interesting, and I'd like to highlight this today, is that almost 80% of men, it's understood that men and women have the same opportunities in businesses, but in fact 49% of women only share that opinion. This can be resolved through diversity programs in businesses. So what do we do in order to contribute to resolving this gap in talent and to try and fit the correct profiles with the available offers and the needs? Well, we are a public entity and we represent a number of professionals in the field. And everything we do is almost outside of working hours, and we try to collaborate with universities. We collaborate with the two universities in Valencia, particularly in the Forestem project, which is promoted by the College of Computer Scientists here in Valencia. And this is basically a project that aims to raise awareness about STEM and to promote the vocation of women within the field of technology. We also participate in a competition which is STEM 14s, and it's for 4th and 5th year secondary education students, and it's trying to get them closer to the world of technology and bring young people closer to technology. These projects that I'm talking about are new projects. They haven't been running for long. The Employment Authority, for example, we received information from them to think a little bit more about the competencies that are currently existing, and we are working on that with them. We're trying to work out a better profile of the people who will be working today and tomorrow. And I can tell you that we have made a suggestion that cybersecurity should be covered across the board in all areas of education. And this report was delivered last week. We have the Employment Authority service so that offers can be published, the offers that are being provided by universities and companies, that is. Our employment service that we have up and running, we have issued a number of opportunities this year, and with a volume of 644 professional opportunities, and with a success rate of around 10%. We try to give ad hoc training courses. These two proposals for training for the coming months are related to different areas of technology, and another one regarding cybersecurity. It's called Experts in Cybersecurity, and this will be done over a number of events, and so that people can get the sufficient training in order to move and to manage the world of cybersecurity. We have some activities going on in the professional world. We have public and private services that are based on demand. We can carry out audits, and this is we cover issues that are currently very in vogue, such as WhatsApp and taking people's identity. Of course, we have to have ethics within our field, and this is also something that we cover. So with regards to the definition of the professions in the field, we are working on that with a European participation and national committees to define the roles in IT for professionals. So what is the market actually looking for, in our opinion? The market is looking for all kinds of profiles. Some to do with more with cybersecurity, more to do with networks and systems. You need knowledge of methodology and good practices. Vocational training also has an added value. And there is also a little bit of resistance in terms of the knowledge of language. We need to go beyond just knowing Spanish. Here you have a bit of information, something that you can turn to, which I think is very interesting. It's information that was released a couple of weeks ago. And it's analysis of digital and not digital professional opportunities. And they're linked to the professional opportunities. It's divided up by provinces. So depending on where you are from, you can look at the opportunities that you have and the knowledge that you will need in order to be able to opt for those opportunities. This information has been taken from various sources, from different companies that publish their offers, including InfoJobs. I think it's worth spending a few minutes on this. There is one section that says expert in cybersecurity, and it indicates the requirements in order to opt for that role. So in terms of the opportunities in the professional world, what can we use our knowledge for? There are different roles and professional functions. We can manage security within businesses. We can also work in sales and pre-sales, audits, consultancy, developing software. And there's also a systems technician's opportunities, and this is related with privacy, managing data and privacy, and this is across all sectors of industry. All companies need to have people who are looking after their cybersecurity. You can work in a company, you can work as a freelance, self-employed person, or based on projects. There are more people who are specializing and working in this way. Here you have a publication here of something that came up recently. It was on our webpage, and it's an opportunity for a pen tester. This is a Valencian company that deals with consultancy and audits, and it works on regional and national level at least, and they put this opportunity on our webpage, and I thought it would give you an idea of the kind of profile that companies are looking for. This gives you a general idea of the things that we have been working on, and it could give you a general idea of what the market is like, what the market is looking for, and what the opportunities are. So thank you very much. Thank you, Alejandro. So now we'll allow Ramón to take the floor. I'd also like to say thank you to the organization for inviting us to be here this morning and for representing the teachers for vocational training for computer science. First of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about vocational training, the current status of vocational training. Training is currently grouped into different families, and we're in telecommunications and computer science. We have a basic vocational training and a mid-level training and superior level training. The subjects are called modules in vocational training, and there are two modules that are vertical, shall we say, the rest are transversal. There are techniques of how to protect applications and so on, and there are only two modules that are called computer security. These modules just cover 2 terms, so there's very little time. There's only 5 hours of training a week. They reach around 100, 110 hours each, and they give a general overview of these subjects. I'll give you a general idea, but we are not able to get into the skills and competencies that companies are actually looking for. So you have the content of the mid-level and super-level vocational training courses, and in the mid-level would be a technician, more oriented towards small and medium-sized companies, and the superior level is a technician who has the mid-level training, but also has a little extra and can work in perhaps larger companies, larger corporations in SOX and NOX. Here in Valencia, we have the entity for response to emergencies, and we had a speech about that from Lourdes. And we cover perhaps more advanced areas in the superior level training. As Alejandro said, in cybersecurity, we also have some data here to share. I won't cover it in detail because Alejandro already mentioned this, but from our point of view and our experience, what I can tell you is that companies are looking for different profiles, and they have up to 6 months of positions that are not being covered. So we can say there is maybe a niche where somebody who has vocational training can cover. People who have a higher level training or knowledge of audits and so on can't cover, and these positions can be complementary. Now they're looking for many people with vocational training, level 2, level 1 and 2 for operations and so on.
¿Qué es lo que hace más que nosotros, la APICV o el profesorado? ¿Qué es lo que hace en este caso
el Ministerio de Educación y FP? ¿Qué es lo que APICV do more than us? And what have they suggesting? I think it's come a little bit late, but since June of this year, there is a specialist course in cybersecurity for IT companies. And this is part of our family. And there is another field that's also growing, and it's cybersecurity in industrial environments. These work in parallel. So in order to be able to work in industrial sectors, but I'm going to be talking this morning about the one that we are dealing with. Currently, the course is only in draft version, so hopefully for the next school year we'll be able to put it into practice. So this would be provided by centers that provide for vocational training. And who is it for? This is for people who have vocational training qualifications on the superior level in app development or web development. And it's for them in order to get training, so they get more specific training on security. And this gives us access to the systems, telecommunications and computer scientist superior course. It's all available in fp.s on the web page. If you look in there, you'll see it on there, and you can access the content of the modules. But I'd like to point out that we do have modules or subjects, as we call them, that are very specific in terms of management of incidents of cybersecurity, how to manage them, how to deal with them, how to copy all the proof and data. There is also computer forensic analysis. There is another module regarding networks and systems. It deals with servers, routers, firewalls, and so on. And another one regarding safe production, that's developing web applications, covering the requirements in terms of security. Another one on ethical hacking, should we call it? And this is more aimed towards pen testing. And the red teams, which is what many organisms call them. And of course, there is a module on cybersecurity itself. It's important in terms of protecting systems and but also dealing with complying with regulations and so on. There is currently more and more legislation that we have to comply with. So it's important that technicians are familiar with this and they understand the expectations that are coming from a European level. So what do we have in this draft document? It says that the profiles that can opt for this course and that have the options later on a professional level are consultants in cybersecurity, auditors in cybersecurity, and experts in cybersecurity. I have added operations technicians on level 1 and level 2. Usually they are engineers, but level 1 and level 2 technicians can work in safety operations in companies. Many of these are outsourced by different companies because they don't have resources within the company in order to do themselves. It's also possible to work in NOC, management of incidents and so on, and raising awareness. There is also opportunities as an analyst and as a legal auditor. There are also options in order to be able to opt to work as a civil guard or the Central Brigade for Investigation in Technology for the National Police Force. In cybersecurity, it's also possible in order to be able to opt for these opportunities within these fields that I've mentioned. This is an alternative option. It's not only the opportunities are not only in companies and businesses. These are alternative options. And just to end, I'll tell you a little bit about the companies with whom we have some contact. And I've mentioned some of them here just because they collaborate with us. And what they are looking for now, they have told me, is pen testers, opportunities in what they call the red team, with regarding technical reports, penetration of systems, and improving the security in the organizations. Security auditors, also what I was mentioning before, level 1 and level 2 operators, and remote monitoring. These people work in shifts. And alerts need to be checked continually, so these people work in shifts. And as I was saying before, most companies have incidents almost every week, so this is on the up. They have also mentioned that people with the vocational training can also help in terms of consultancies, in terms of sales. They can help to write offers and reports, and we have students who have worked in awareness, training in awareness. These people give talks about cybersecurity, grooming, sexting, and so on. These are transversal subjects, and we should all be aware of them, whether or not we're technicians. So some of our students have also done work of this kind. And I'll end with this, and we'll pass over to our colleague.
Right. First of all, I would like to thank INCIBE for inviting me to take part in this roundtable. I've got a little technical problem and I haven't been able to bring all the slides that I have, and I wanted to use my browser, but I'm not sure that I can use it.
Sí, sí. Dale. Pues nada, lo dicho, perdón.
Right, sorry about that.
Hemos tenido un pequeño problema técnico.
We've had a little technical problem and I don't have my slides here, but I've really liked the presentations given by my other colleagues. I think you have covered most of everything to do with cybersecurity and what companies are looking for. So I think what we can add up on from universities is regarding degrees and masters on cybersecurity. So this is our official website for the Polytechnic University. You've got the link here to studies. So we have many different degrees.
La Politécnica dispone de multitud de grados, entre los grados, por ejemplo, relacionados con ciberseguridad.
Amongst those related to cybersecurity, which could be related to cybersecurity, you can see
Aquí. Por ejemplo, yo soy de informática.
Well, I come from the computer science school. We've got a degree in computing and computer science, and we look into cybersecurity in many subjects. So this is one of the degrees that would be an entry point for many companies who are looking for computer engineers. We also have a new data science degree, and within that data science degree, we talk a lot about big data and many other related issues. We also have subjects in cybersecurity.
Por supuesto, también Perdón, es que soy un poco alto.
Sorry, I'm a bit tall for this table. Well, sorry. Anyway, would you have several degrees which are related to telecommunications, to industrial engineering, that could also be relevant to many other aspects of cybersecurity. Indeed, many people who have degrees in telecommunications do access the work market, and it has been one of the main areas for cybersecurity in the last few years. And now, currently, because of cybersecurity in industrial environments, there are many people from industrial engineering or civil engineering who are in high demand because of the particular knowledge that they have. So other than this, I want to be brief. So other than bachelor degrees, we also have master's degrees. And I'm really sorry because this table is really low and I cannot see it. Well, as I was saying, the Polytechnic University doesn't really have a master's which is specifically on cybersecurity, but we're working on one which will be launched in September next year. We've got many companies which are interested, amongst them Deloitte and many others, in this master's. This is specialized in cybersecurity and cyber intelligence, and as you can see, we have many other masters on offer right now. We've got software engineering when we talk about secure development, and we also have masters in civil engineering that complements the training that has been given in the bachelor degree, and also touch upon cybersecurity. I don't know all the masters, but I think I'm sure we also have some masters related with cyber intelligence, which are also specialized in cybersecurity. So we have many different trainings that do touch upon cybersecurity. This is all. Thank you very much. And finally, Emilio Soria from University of Valencia. Yeah, if I could just have the remote so that we can have Emilio's presentation here on the background. And well, Emilio is going to tell us a little bit about the vision or the point of view of the University of Valencia. Well, first of all, I would like to thank INCIBE for inviting me to be here. I think everyone has already almost touched upon everything already. From our point of view, we also have different bachelor degrees where we train about cybersecurity. We actually do have a master's now in cybersecurity. And I wanted to think a little bit about cybersecurity, about the future of cybersecurity. We've been looking at data and numbers about the present, and because I am the last one, I'm going to talk a little bit about its future. So when we talk about security, we talk about integrity and security of information. So when a few years ago we had the first computers, we started talking about viruses. Those of us who already have a few white hairs, in my case I don't have any hair at all, well, for us that was the big thing. Then we had mobile phones, which at the beginning were only used to speak, but when they started having applications, they started being attacked as well, so that was the next stage. Then it went on to industrial devices and programmable automatons, and then we moved on to intensive care units in hospitals and many other applications in medicine. And I think in the future, the next device that's going to be attacked and that will give a lot of work, it's going to be us. So we're talking about fake news a lot lately. Yesterday there was a video of Nixon, the former president, where he was sending a message completely different to the message that he would have sent. So I think the next devices that are going to be attacked are us. Artificial intelligence systems can generate videos and texts that seem to have been generated by human beings. And whenever I go to companies, I mention this. If you have a video of your boss saying you have to delete your hard drive from your computer, don't do it, because you never know if it's really your boss saying that, because right now with 3 pictures we can have a full video of someone saying whatever you want them to say. So this is concerning devices, everything to do with fake news, bots. All that is going to give a lot of work in this field. And now concerning techniques, I've been looking into the different speeches about IoT, big data and artificial intelligence. Just the fact of working in this industries means that you're going to have surely a job, because for example in cybersecurity one of the techniques that it's being most used is anomaly detection, which is almost like looking for something which is really difficult to find. So for example predictive maintenance for machines or fraud detection for credit cards. So studying cybersecurity will open up many opportunities in other applications. And that's it. Well, I've got 1 minute left. Thank you. Well, now we would like to give the floor to all of you who are here today in case you have any questions, either for all of our guests or all of us, or for someone in particular. I don't know if anyone would like to ask a question. Yeah, we have a question over there. Hello, good morning. We are currently studying a multi-platform application development, and until we have this 1-year specialization in vocational training for cybersecurity, what do you recommend we do? Can we do any other training, anything else? Well, I'm going to answer because you were asking about vocational training, but I think anyone else can answer. I think other than what you could do yourself and train and teach yourself, if you're talking about formal education or certifications, I would recommend, if you would like to invest in certifications, if you like security, for example, Because when it comes to vocational training, unless you want to do an engineering degree, if you have time and if you like it, and you can even do it online, or do distance learning, but you can also train for certification. Certified Ethical Hacker is one I recommend very highly. It's something that you can study for. It has a very high level of technicality, but it can open many doors. Or just be self-taught, you know, that's why I say very often that most of the things that I'm teaching right now, I've learned myself. If you undergo formal training, that helps you structure your mind and having some discipline, but most of the things that you learn are going to be obsolete very quickly, so you have to be continuously training. Thank you very much. I don't know if we have another question. There's another one over here.
Sí, hola. Bueno, muchas gracias.
Hello, good morning.
En primer lugar, y en segundo lugar, la pregunta.
My question deals with, we've been hearing a lot of information about technical requirements, especially concerning the different educational paths. But how about law, communication, other areas which are actually linked to this industry, and how is that going to be looked into for education? We're very happy you asked that, because that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about and something that had been asked before. I don't know if universities would like to say something about how it is true that security affects many different disciplines. And Alejandro, I think, was saying that cyber crime is very, very profitable. So we're finding many different cases which are not just physical but digital, and we need lawyers, we need jurists in general who know about this. So what are we doing from the point of view of formal training to complement those aspects? Well, if you're studying law, congratulations, because with the new data protection directive and everything that we've been talking about, at the end of the day, it is data that we're talking about all the time, and there's many professional opportunities. And in our research group, there's worldwide renowned specialist in behavioral economy, because the weakest link on a chain is always the user. You can have the highest security from a technological point of view, but if the user doesn't know how to do things, if they didn't abide by all the rules that you have prepared for them, then you have a really big issue. So what this expert was analyzing is what incentives you would have to give the final user so that they don't decide to just not abide by those security rules. I would like to also add, I also congratulate you if you're studying law, and if you want to specialize in cybersecurity, you're going to have a lot of work. As you can see, there are loads of regulations. There's many people who have studied computer science and telecommunications who do not know about laws and cannot deal with them. But you will probably know that legislation in Spain is not the same as in Italy, France, Japan, United States, or India. So there are many companies who are facing many issues when they try to export a product abroad, and the cybersecurity requirements are completely different to the ones that we have here. So it's that easy. So if you study law, and for example, at the Polytechnic University, we have many postgraduate studies of which last about 6 months, 1 year, that would help you specialize in cybersecurity if you wanted to. So if you do law, you speak English, and you have a specialization in cybersecurity, then you will definitely find a job. And from INCIBE, I would like to also say that because this is a very multidisciplinary area when it comes to law, education, everything is interconnected. We need psychologists, we need trainers who know how to work in a secure environment and raise awareness. So it is true that we have more and more training every day, not only technical training, but now we have postgraduates and a master's in cybersecurity and industrial security law, and we also have vocational training and university level training, which is focusing on the fact that any discipline needs a cybersecurity component nowadays, because we do live in a hyper-connected world, for better or for worse. And so this is something that we're working on, and if unfortunately the specialization that you find at some point, or that if your degree is not specialized in cybersecurity, it is important to have some training as a complement, both vocational training or higher education or certifications. Well, we've run out of time. I would like to thank everyone who's been here with me in the round table today. And finally, I just wanted, I don't know if you could show the slide. I wanted to show you the activities that we have in relation with this round table today at CyberCamp. And then some activities will continue over time. So you have Employment and Talent Forum, and we will have 52 opportunities, 30 companies, and over 20 training institutions, so you can get information and even apply to those job offers. We have over 250 openings in this forum that you can have access to. For those of you who are lucky enough to be here, not those who are on streaming, unfortunately, but those who are here, we have a coaching corner on the second floor, where they're going to be able to assess your CV. If you have it with you, they will tell you how to make it more attractive, how to change it so that it is attractive for employment. We also have training for job interviews, which might make us very nervous at the beginning, so that we can help you on key points for those first interviews. Now, for those of you who are not still looking for a job, we also have some activities which we have called Show Your Potential, and we can tell you about the things that you can potentiate in for your future when it comes to soft skills, volunteering, sports, teamwork, which is something that companies really do value when looking for candidates. We will also have some practical workshops of initiation to cybersecurity, and for those of you who are interested, they will take place in the room, in the aula. And for those of you who do not find a spot because the space is limited, you can also find them in universities, in vocational training centers all around Spain. We have them all the time. We also have the Cyber Olympics, the hackathon, loads of activities. So we do invite you to investigate a little bit, explore what we have. And for those of you who are interested in this, do take the plunge. And if you see a job offer that you could apply to, do it. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias, chicos.